Welcome to the Gospel Road. 1 Corinthians 9 is what we will look at today. It says, Am I not free? Am I not an apostle? Have I not seen Jesus our Lord? Are not you my workmanship in the Lord? If to others I am not an apostle, am I at least to you? For you are the seal of my apostleship in the Lord. This is my defense to those who would examine me. Do we not have the right to our food and drink? Do we not have the right to be accompanied by a wife, as the other apostles and the brothers of the Lord and Cephas? Or is it only Barabbas and I who have no right to refrain from working for a living? Who serves as a soldier of his own expense, who plants a vineyard without eating any of its fruit, who tends a flock without getting some of the milk? Do I say this on human authority? Does not the law say the same? For it is written in the law of Moses, you shall not muzzle an ox when it is treading out the grain. It is for oxen that God is concerned. Do not speak entirely for our sake. It was written for our sake, because the plowman should plow in hope, and the thresher thresh in hope, and share in the crop. If we have sown spiritual good among you, is it too much if we reap your material benefits? If others share the rightful claim upon you, do not we still more? Nevertheless, we have not made use of this right, but we endure everything rather than put an obstacle in the way of the gospel of Christ. Do you not know that those who are employed in the temple service get their food from the temple, and those who serve at the altar share in the sacrificial offerings? In the same way, the Lord commanded that those who proclaim the gospel should get their living by the gospel. But I have made no use of any of these rights, nor am I writing this to secure any such provision. For I would rather die than have anyone deprive me of my ground for boasting. For if I preach the gospel, that gives me no ground for boasting. For necessity is laid upon me. Woe to me if I do not preach the gospel. For if I do this on my own will, I have a reward. But if not of my own will, I am entrusted with a commission. What then is my reward? Just this, that in my preaching I may make the gospel free of charge, not making full use of my rights in the gospel. For though I am free from all men, I have made myself a slave to all, that I might win the more. To the Jews I become as a Jew in order to win Jews. To those under the law I become as one under the law, though not being myself under the law, that I might win those under the law. To those outside the law I become as one outside the law, not being without law toward God, but under the law of Christ, that I might win those outside the law. To the weak I become weak, that I might win the weak. I have become all things to all men, that I might by all means save some. I do it all for the sake of the gospel, that I may share in its blessings. Do you not know that in a race all the runners compete, but only one receives the prize? So run that you may obtain it. Every athlete exercises self-control in all things. They do it to receive perishable wealth, but we are an imperishable. Well, I do not run aimlessly. I do not box as one beating the air, but I pommel my body and subdue it. At least after preaching to others, I myself should be disqualified. 1 Corinthians 9. Lots of information in here if you really break things down, especially when you get towards the bottom of the chapter. Most of it talking about, Paul being the apostle and how he should be earning his keep through that. I mean, we hear that a lot. Well, when we go to church, they pass the offering plate because that's how the church pays the bills. That's how the pastor gets paid. So that's the rights of an apostle. So by going and sharing the gospel, he should be earning his keep from the gospel. Now, he also talks about how he doesn't have to do that as well. He just gives it for free, but he was not exercising that right. Now, many times we see people on TV and over the years that they exercise that right on a daily basis of giving to their ministry. But we don't just see it there. We see that by those exercising their right for the nonprofits. I mean, I work for a nonprofit, so we're exercising that right that you want to hear the programming that we're giving you, and we are listener supported, so we need you to support us to keep us on the air. Yeah. But as we, get towards the bottom part, talking about that exercising the right is also talking about being relatable. Who are you talking to? Who is your crowd? Are you able to read the room? So you're able to have the right story to share with the crowd that you're talking to. If you're talking to a younger crowd, if you're talking to just men, women, men and women, if you're talking to 30-year-olds, young adults, or talking to more of the middle age when you're getting into, the 45, 55, or even older or retired, reading the room, knowing who it is that you're talking to. Now, that's something that we always have to do our best with when you're dealing with media, because especially for us, we're trying to get ratings, because with better ratings, we're able to get better sponsors, because those sponsors pay the bills to, pay my salary, pay the bills to keep the radio station, the TV station on the air, the newspaper going, the website that you go to going. So it's making sure you're getting the clicks, you're getting the people that are wanting to hear that message, so you can get the support in return. And it's marketing in many ways, which I've been dealing with that basically my entire life. I mean, media, broadcast media, it's marketing yourself, it's marketing the station to get more listeners, to get more people to listen, to really help that bottom line. Because again, more listeners equals more money, because you get better ratings, which means you have more people that want to be on your station or are willing to pay more to be on your station because you have those higher ratings. Now, that's part of it. So he was talking about, if he was talking to Jews, he had to be a Jew. If he was talking to those under the law, he had to be one under the law. If he was talking to one that was outside the law, he had to be outside the law. I mean, again, understanding who your audience is and who you're talking to. But then as we roll on, it's running that race. Being the first to obtain the prize. It's a competition. Now, this is our competition. It's an individual competition. We're not doing this against others when you're going through the scripture, because it's your personal race that you're running to get to heaven. But as we are dealing with this in life, I have a friend who a couple of them who just had some interviews. So they're trying to get new jobs. Well, that means they're interviewing against others. So you're running that race to obtain that prize of that new job. So you have to do your best to outshine anyone else that is also applying for the same job. At the same time, when you are doing your job, you need to be able to control yourself. It says here, how athletes exercise self-control. Now, that's something we need to be able to do on a daily basis. Now, I will say I fail at that a lot. In fact, I did just this last week and kind of got called out on it a little bit. But sometimes you get frustrated and it just kind of goes. But it's not running aimlessly. It's having that focus. It's knowing where you're going. It's knowing what that vision is. But then at the same time, having the strategy for that vision to be able to run that race to obtain the prize that you're going for. Whatever it is. Maybe it's starting a new company, being an entrepreneur, starting a new job. You're not running aimlessly. You're focusing because you're going after that job. Maybe it's starting a podcast. You've got to get all of the things put together so it's ready and prepared. So when you go and launch that, it is ready to go. It's so many things that you're looking at, but it's that laser focus that you need to have to make sure you're getting done what you need to have done to do what you need to do for that goal that you're trying to get to. My laser focus every week of getting in, recording this, and getting it posted so people can listen if they would like. Or, next week it might be a little off because I will have the Drake Road Race. So instead of recording early in the morning, I will be playing music for all the runners in the 5K and the half marathon that they do every year as they get ready to kick off the Drake relays. Yeah, it can be a busy time of year. But it's, again, having the conversations of knowing where it is you need to be, knowing where it is you need to do, and keeping yourself organized to get it done. Not running aimlessly. Not losing self-control. But controlling that so you can keep going and doing what you need to do. Keeping that focus. That's one thing we always talked about in marketing is that laser focus. Knowing who you're talking to. Knowing what you're doing. Knowing how to do that. You're not just throwing a bunch of stuff on the wall and seeing what sticks. You're not just throwing darts. You have a focus. You have a look. You're using that scope. And you know exactly where you're aiming. You're running. You know exactly where you're running to. You see the finish line. And you get there. And a lot of times you have people, which is why businesses fail, why people lose jobs, because they lose that focus. They don't have that focus. They start running aimlessly, spending aimlessly. So they're not getting bills covered. They're not, taking care of their employees. They're not doing their job. And then it's gone. 1 Corinthians 9. That's what we were looking at today. Read that. How does it help you be that better person? How can it help you really take that focus that you need to do to get to where you need to be, to reach that goal that you have in your life? A guy that I've been talking to started his own security company. He had to have that goal, that focus, so he could get that done. 1 Corinthians 9. Be sure to check that out. How does it help you? Be a better person. Be a better friend. Be a better parent, sibling. Be better today than yesterday, right? If you enjoyed this, you can always share it on social media. Find me there as well on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I think that's all of them. My Buddy Jimmy or mybuddyjimmy.com, and even check out the other things that I share, my words of the week or any other crazy video or something that I might come up with as well. Yeah, just kind of all over the place. Speaking of that laser focus, I was talking with a friend of mine this past week, and I need to get my own focus going for another one of my podcasts that I do, which does a lot of, little lists and things or interviewing people. But it's trying to get that back on track again. I've been kind of failing for a minute. I'll be honest, I failed. It happens. Okay, my brain just was shot somewhere else and isn't focused anymore. I started having that conversation and my brain just went overwhelmed. All right. Thank you for listening to The Gospel Road. If you also enjoyed this, be sure to give me a rating on whatever platform that you are listening as well. All right? 1 Corinthians 9. Read that. Thank you for listening to The Gospel Road. Have a great day. God bless.
Spinal adjustments provided by Dr. Chad Rolfson. The Spinal Tuning Chiropractic Center is a Des Moines area low flat fee per month unlimited chiropractic care practice. When life happens, just adjust. Schedule today at spinaltuning.com.
If you're looking for help with software, app, web development, be sure to check out my friends at ingenuitycompany.com. They believe in their clients. Software development, app development, web development, visioning, design thinking, diagramming, organizational development, strategy. They can help you at the Ingenuity Company. Find out more at ingenuitycompany.com. Barbecue provided by Kenny's Rib Wagon, catering ribs for your pleasure and serving daily at Plaza Pub, 62nd and Douglas in Des Moines, across from Merle Hay Mall. Find Kenny's Rib Wagon on Facebook.
The Jimmy Olsen Radio Network.